Welcome back to Definitely Not Definitive. I'm Ken.
And I'm Bethany.
And we're just a fantastic couple in love that loves reacting to some Fallout.
Yes, we do.
And so this is the Storyteller series, Fallout Season 2, Episodes 3 and 4. So that is Point Lookout and Call of Krivbeknih.
Good job on that.
Yeah, well, probably not right. It's 100% not right. And so if you want early ad-free access to our Fallout reactions, check out the description of this video. You can get a link to our Patreon there. We also have a playlist for all of our Fallout reactions here. We've done more than just the Storyteller series for Fallout. We checked out some trailers and intros and whatnot. If you're new to this channel, then you have to realize that we do drinks with some of our featured franchises, and Fallout's got its own drink.
Yeah, because it's for the franchises that are a part of our channel consistently that we keep revisiting. So Fallout gets the Stim Pack Spritzer, which is only a Stim Pack Spritzer if you have the Stim Pack.
Yep, gotta add the Stim Pack.
So you gotta add that, give it a little stir.
Cheers.
And cheers.
Would you like to improve this series and help keep it alive? Of course you would! Zip on by our Patreon page and see how you can do just that and so much more. Act now and unlock exclusive content, including bonus lore audiobooks and other fabulous prizes. What are you waiting for? Be a hero! Visit us today.
When the Great War destroyed civilization, humanity's petty rivalries died along with the people who harbored them. From the leaders of nations right down to neighbors squabbling over their gardens, the voices went silent when the bombs fell. But there's a small group of people who survived the war and kept on living for hundreds of years afterwards. Along with their deformed bodies and deteriorating minds, they've also kept alive their grievances from hundreds of years ago. They call themselves a microcosm of the old world. They play an endless game of treachery and manipulation that has lasted so long they can barely remember why they're fighting. The old world was filled with secretive people and organizations. Small towns and seemingly innocent locations could hold both wonders and horrors. Beneath those wholesome diversions were many secrets, some of which simply refused to die.
Mannequins are always freaky.
Point Lookout National Park was a ways south of Washington, D.C., far enough not to get scorched by the bombardment during the war, but it's still got a good dose of fallout pouring in through the waters of the Potomac. There are some records of what it was like in the final days, left behind by a medical team that passed through. The backwater residents of the place were hit hard by the new plague that spread across the land in the years before the war. The government had sent in a series of medical experts to curb the spread of the plague, but the locals weren't exactly hospitable to outsiders. And that was back before they'd had 2 centuries of inbreeding and mutation. Now the place is crawling with the local flavor of mutant hillbillies who survive off a regional fruit called the punga. They supplement their diet with whatever protein they can find, and that usually comes from travelers who visit Point Lookout searching for pre-war loot.
Come out and play. Come on out. We ain't gonna bite. I hear something moving. Don't you go running. I'm eating good tonight. You in the wrong place, girl.
Oh my God! Someone help me!
I got something for you.
Oh!
No! Please! Get away!
You ain't got no chance.
Nope.
Scream for me.
You did say squeal for me. Or scream for me.
I think so.
The only way to reach the peninsula is by boat, and on the Potomac, there used to be a man with an antique paddle steamer that had been converted to run on steam power. Claimed that he once sailed up the Atlantic coast all the way up to the Commonwealth. He would sell punga fruit to traders in Washington, although he never seemed to bring any goods with him back to Point Lookout, aside from passengers. Those passengers usually didn't return to their point of origin, but according to the few that have, there's a church down in Point Lookout that is surprisingly welcoming to newcomers. The church was the Ark and Dove, named after the ships that brought the first settlers to Maryland close to 800 years ago. The Calvert family was among the first people to settle the region, and by the time of the Great War, they had influence in politics, finance, and industry. They could pull strings with General Atomics and had the clout to acquire and scientific acumen to modify the military biogel that keeps disembodied brains alive. They had the kind of resources to keep a person alive through the apocalypse and beyond. That kind of influence also brings enemies. One explorer came back from Point Lookout full of stories of pre-war rivalries that bubbled up again like swamp gas. A ghoul had been stalking the Calverts for over 200 years, and the knowledge that one of them might still be alive drew him back to the Calvert ancestral estate in Point Lookout.
Burned it down.
Desmond Lockhart has been an international operative since the resource wars of the 21st century. Now, that man's on the radar of every organization, from the regulators to Talon Company to Littlehorn and Associates. Not many ghouls in the wasteland have a British accent, so that bloke stands out wherever he goes. Doesn't make him any less conspicuous that he always travels with a pair of tough-as-nails attack dogs and carries enough ordnance to blow up a Brotherhood bunker. I was never sure how his rivalry with Calvert turned out. Desmond isn't the sort to linger around swapping stories of his exploits, but one or both of them must be dead for sure. That feud was only one of the hidden horrors of Point Lookout. The locals called it haunted long before things like ghouls ever existed, and that swamp has deep roots that dig down to what a praying man would call hell. But that is a story for another day.
Definitely don't want a vacation at Point Lookout.
Hell no. Between Texas Chainsaw Hillbillies and I don't know, like, I almost want to say mafia rivalries because the one guy had a fedora on, but
Yeah, I was getting mafia vibes too, but I mean, they said that he was like kind of like whatever, trained as a spy and whatnot. But I thought it was pretty cool that him picking people off, and he had skills.
he did have skills. Yes, skills that I would not like to witness.
Very true.
I mean, unless he was my friend.
Yeah.
I would be nice to his dogs, so maybe that would buy me some.
I thought that that could be your in for sure.
I might have an in.
Edna, come in here.
No.
Okay, there are no ghosts, no matter what that shaman said. Because there are no ghosts, except for that one ghost woman in the den, and she was put to rest a long time ago. Yes, vampires are real, sort of. And zombies are real.
Sort of.
But they're not that kind of zombie. Well, some people do believe in voodoo and magical zombies, and even think that ghouls are created by black magic instead of radiation. I'll make you a deal. I'll tell you a story about magical zombies. You promise to come inside this cave with me afterwards.
Yes.
Okay. A long time ago, in a far-off land, there was a war in which brother fought against brother for the fate of a nation. When the soldiers from the north captured men from the south, they took them to a prison camp in a place called Point Lookout. It eventually became an amusement park, but 400 years ago, it was a horrible place where many men died. They were buried in a mass grave beneath the swamp, and the people who came to live there afterwards said that the swamp was haunted by the vengeful spirits of the dead. No, there were no holotapes 400 years ago, but you can grab any history book and look up the role that the place had during America's Civil War.
Well, hello.
All of those dead bodies under the swamp are responsible for the methane gas that bubbles up from under the water. One of the old energy companies thought they might sell the gas for profit during the resource wars, but fetid gas wasn't the only thing that rose up from the swamp, according to local legends. They say restless spirits walked the land, and that one of the aristocratic families, the Blackhalls, had made unholy pacts with eldritch creatures from the primeval past before men walked the earth. They had a book of unknowable arcana called the Krivbeknih, an evil tome that, once written, could not be destroyed by any means known. For generations, the Blackhalls lived in a mansion in the western parts of the swamp, and they led the locals in demonic rites, invoking nameless entities from realms beyond the ken of humanity. At the time of the Great War, the book had come into the hands of Constance Blackhall, a woman who carried its loathsome beliefs into the 22nd century. She had married into the Blackhall family, but her own ancestry was no less depraved. Born Constance Dunwich, her brother Richard had established the Dunwich Borer Company and constructed its headquarters over a Cyclopean cavern. There, beneath the seemingly innocent drilling company, Icarus pagans conducted their gibbering rituals mere miles from the nation's capital. Generations after the Great War, Constance Blackhall was still alive, perhaps a mutation, or it might have been the unutterable influence of that book. She eventually did die, but only after an unknown person stole the Krivbeknih from her. At some point, the book made its way into the capital wasteland. A traveler brought it to the Dunwich building for purposes no sane man could fathom. What happened to him is known only to the moldering fiends from beyond. However, his son followed in his wake, leaving holotapes as he descended into the abysmal catacombs beneath the building, toward a fate too diabolical to speak.
Nona.
In Point Lookout, the swamp folk had developed a superstition about the Blackhall family and their mansion. They chattered the ancient chants and hung talismans about their swamp, but never dared enter the Blackhall house, where there dwells the last of the Blackhall line, a decrepit old man who roams the halls of his decaying mansion, restlessly seeking the lost tome of forbidden horrors. The monstrous book, the Krivbeknih, has vanished, but is certainly in the clutches of some degenerate, tenebrous beast. What sinister connection it has to the deep temple beneath the Dunwich building, I cannot say. But on nights when the stars are right and the winds blow from the east, travelers can hear whispered words carried on the breeze. A Qualthoth is returned. Al-Hazred, Giyeth, Giyeth. What? Why are you still scared? The evil book of unknowable horrors was probably destroyed. The mass grave of restless spirits is thousands of miles away. Well, how about I tell you a happy story? One about a man who spent his life helping other people and never took credit for his good deeds. The only way you'll learn the whole story is if we go in that spooky old cave over there. Does it have a happy ending? In a way, it has a happy ending. Not many in the wasteland do. We have a lot of places to visit before I can show you the ending. So that is a story for another day.
Very few have a happy ending in Fallout, that I believe.
Yeah, definitely. Even I think at this point in the post nuclear apocalypse world, few people seem to have a happy beginning as well.
Yeah.
A lot of misery. I liked the spooky ghost story element of all this.
Yeah, for sure.
That was very appealing. There's something about, I don't know, like even the way it started where it was like, these soldiers used to go to a place called Point Lookout. It's now an amusement park. And then but it's been abandoned. Abandoned amusement parks are terrifying too. There's just something about the way they opened it and they had the creepy vibe from the beginning and they carried it throughout. Very, very enjoyable. And I mean, who doesn't love a good ghost story about the evil tome or Book of Satan or whatever it is that's gonna come out and weave its magical whatever and wreak havoc on the world.
Yeah, the Necronomicon or the Darkhold. So yeah, I enjoyed that one too. I mean, the first episode we watched was creepy just because of the crazy backward hillbilly psychos. And then the other one was it was more, I don't know, enjoyable from a sense of, a fun campfire ghost story. And I like the setting that they did. I like the incorporation of Edna with the storyteller and their kind of dynamic, Edna being scared.
Yeah, I'm kind of with Edna. I would agree. Edna and I will stay outside the cave and he can go into the cave and then he can tell us what he found.
But Edna's there to document him. What he found.
She'll document him when he comes out. Assuming he lives. I'm with Edna.
You'll have to let us know what you thought about this down below in the comments. And if you want all of our Fallout reactions, check out the description of this video because we got a playlist there for you, as well as a link to our Patreon where you can get early ad-free access to our Fallout reactions and our other reactions on Definitely Not Definitive games. Thanks so much for checking out our reaction for Fallout Storyteller series, episodes, season 2, episode 3 and 4, which keep in mind.
That our reaction is definitely not definitive.